Welcome to Dark Horizon Creations. I'm Mike, and this time we're taking a look at the Action Force Condor action figure by Valaverse. Now, if you haven't already, please follow, like, and subscribe to my social media accounts on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Don't forget to hit that bell icon so you get a notification of when I post new content. All right, guys, here we have Condor, or Captain Laird Barnes, which is his file name. He is the squadron commander for Action Force. If you guys don't know anything about Action Force, the background, go to the website at valaverse.com, read all the background information on the story, as well as grabbing the comics, because it'll bring you up to speed and get you involved in the story of these characters. So essentially, Condor is the Action Force equivalent to Duke within the G.I. Joe franchise. He is the squadron commander for Action Force, which is a special missions unit. And Action Force exists after the dissolution of the United States. So it becomes the premier counterterrorism unit within the nation, or what's left of it. And their objective is to go up against multiple factions that are operating within the remnants of the United States and hopefully restore the Republic. I think that's the end goal of what they're after, or the creation of a new one. And the individual tasked with leading that unit is Condor. So one of the things I want to point out about this action figure is that all of the Action Force figures in this series that come in a window box, you see the action figure, all the accessories, the bump helmet, AN/PVS 15 nods, the silencer code Maxim 9 sidearm in the holster. You've got a fixed blade combat knife, interchangeable head sculpt. You've got the FN Mark 16 scar. Really awesome. Action Force logo on the side panel. There's the emblem. This side panel, you've got some artwork of Condor. On the back, you've got your obligatory product shots of Series 1. And here is his file card, which you can cut out and place in the slot on the display stand, or you can leave it on the packaging, however you choose to keep it. It says Condor, file name Barnes, Laird, primary specialty infantry, secondary skills intelligence, birthplace Dorset, England. Rank affiliation, Captain, Action Force. Laird Barnes was born in Dorset, England, the hometown of his parents. At the age of 2, Laird had his first encounter with the realities of terrorism, as his parents' lives were taken from them in a local bombing. Laird was discovered by a lieutenant in the Paris who rescued the child from the devastation left behind. The lieutenant and his wife adopted the child and raised him as their own. Laird grew up in the shadow of his adoptive father and learned to soldier from a young age. When he was old enough, he was told what had happened to his biological parents, bringing childhood memories to the surface. For Laird, serving the crown was not an option. It was his only choice. He committed himself to serving Great Britain, and after completing the combat training course at Catterick, Laird volunteered for the Paris, where he was assigned to the 1st Battalion. After deploying on rotation, Laird was sent to officer training, and while there, he volunteered for selection. Within a year, he found himself at Bradbury Lines as a troop leader in the 22 SAS. Laird would spend another 10 years of his career as leader of 22 SAS before being sent to the U.S. as a liaison officer. During his first 6 months stateside, Laird witnessed the dissolution of the Union and found himself torn between following orders or doing what he felt was right. That's really cool. I had a hand in helping Bobby with the bio and the file card of this figure, as well as the other characters. All right, let's free this guy from his box and see what he is all about. I got to tell you all, I'm having a blast playing with these Action Force figures. It's like Christmas all over again. And that's what he looks like in the packaging. And I want to point this out because each of these action figures in this type of box come packaged this way in a plastic tray. It's got the film over it, and then it's got a plastic cover over that to further protect the action figure. You're not going to see packaging this nice with the classified series or any other line out there. This is top-notch stuff that Bobby has done here with Action Force. And the way that this is designed ensures that you can continue to keep your figures in the box, putting them back in the plastic tray without having to throw it away. How many times have I purchased G.I. Joe Classified series or the Jazzware Halo figures, and they're secured back here with all of these goofy plastic ties and things like that, and I end up having to throw this tray away. And during product reviews, I would pause the video, remove the item from the packaging, come back to the video, all because I didn't want to make a lot of noise. You don't have that problem with Action Force because that's how the action figure ships, right there. It's laying in the tray. There's no plastic ties, no gimmicks, no strings, straws, rubber bands, none of the other bull crap to hold the action figure in the packaging. What you see is what you get. And up close, you can see this guy is really nice. Now, Bobby recommends that you either soak the action figure in really warm tap water for about 20 to 30 seconds or heat it under a hair dryer for the same amount of time to loosen up the joints because of the temperature variance during shipping in order to prevent any kind of breakage. I've already done that. I've already removed the figure, took some pictures with it. So you guys can see up close how nice this is. And he's got the British flag as well as the Action Force logo up here on his body armor, emblem of 22 SAS here on his left shoulder. That's really bad. I like that. Really nice. And you can see the spare mags for his scar. I turned these around to face this direction because the way you carry your mags is bullets to the rear so that you can pull a magazine straight up, place it into the mag well of the weapon, and the ammunition's pointing in the right direction. Here you see some flex cuffs. This is a fixed blade dagger. Another rifle mag pouch, 3 mag pouches for the sidearm, and your IFAK individual first aid kit is here. Awesome combat shirt. Pockets up here on the shoulders. You got an accessory pouch down here. This is another IFAK. It's a rip away bag where it's held on by Velcro. You can just snatch it off and pull it out. And it's got more kit in here like Israeli bandages, quick clots, chest seals, all the good stuff for tactical combat casualty care. Back here you'll find a sheath for the fixed blade combat knife, and we'll pull it out in just a moment. Here you've got your silencer code Maximum 9mm integrally suppressed sidearm. We'll take a look at that in a moment as well. Let's talk about articulation. Head is on a nice ball joint. Full range of motion, left to right, pivot up and down. You can look up and see the Air Force coming in to help. Forward and lateral movement at the shoulder. Full range of motion with the butterfly joint there. Those are a little bit stiff when you first take it out of the box and need to be heated. Double jointed elbows, as you guys can see here. Wrist rotation, as well as pivot. Now his torso has 2 ball joints, an upper ball joint here and a lower ball joint here, giving him a full range of motion. It's inhibited by the vest, but it's still present. Forward and lateral movement at the thigh rotation. You guys can see that. Double jointed knees. And these are really stiff when you take it out of the box. You have to heat these or risk breaking them if you just pull them right out. Lower leg rotation, foot will pivot, and it will also swivel to the left and right. So let's stand him back here, and I'm going to lower the camera for just a moment. Get down on his level. All right, let's push him back. Let's see what we got in here. Here's your display base. You have the Action Force logo engraved in here. You got 1, 2, 3, 4 pegs, your slot for your file card if you so choose to display it on the display base. Now, one thing I would like to point out about this, and this has already been noted by Bobby, the ports on the bottom of their foot is slightly smaller than the peg on the display base. So you have a couple options. You could take a rotary tool and do a couple laps around this with the sander or some sandpaper and sand this down. The problem you're going to encounter is you're going to rub the paint off of that. So if you do that, that's at your own risk. I'm just offering that as an opportunity to make this fit the action figure. The other option you have is to take something like an X-Acto knife and go in here and try and carve out the port on their foot and make it a little larger. because you can take it and force him onto it, but it's not going to be as secure as it would if the opening were larger. And they're aware of this. They're going to correct this for Series 2 and moving forward. You also get your interchangeable hands, and there's 3 extra sets of hands for this action figure. Here's the primary weapon, FN Herzl Scar Mark 16 Mod O. Aim point red dot, Surefire can, Tango down vertical grip. Iron sights on it. And I really like this because in real world tactical training, you always run with your iron sights and your optic co-witnessing. Now that's so if this optic ever goes down, you don't have to flip these sights up. They're already up and you can just transition to your irons. And it's a good habit to get into when you're training, to use your irons co-witness with your optic. Really awesome to see the toy with this. Removable 30 round magazine. So that's really cool. Just push that back in there. All the details of the real gun are on there. This gun's manufactured right here in Columbia, South Carolina. Really love the Scar. Big fan of it. Awesome shooting weapon. Now let's talk about his bump helmet for a minute. Really cool, molded in shroud, molded rails on the side. It's supposed to come with the armored ear guard, and mine come with 2 for this side only. So that's a QC issue. So I'm gonna wait until I get paid again and order an extra gear pack, and then I can have the ear guards for Condor to go on his helmet. Just take his helmet, put it on like that. You know, it's not gonna go all the way down. And these fit, they're high cut on the side, as you can see here. You can see come off the display base. They're high cut on the side so that you can wear your comms headset, you know, your contact too and things like that under here. Let's see if we can get him back on the display stand. Stay in place. Here are the AN PVS 15 dual tube nods, and you can run them one of 2 ways. You can plug them straight in like this for running at night, or you can plug them in like this for running in the day. Let's go ahead and take a look at the silencer co, Maxim 9. If we can get him back on the display stand. This is an integrally suppressed sidearm. And for those of you that like to shoot, you don't know anything about the gun, the barrel is fixed inside this handgun. Okay, it's not like a regular sidearm. The gun itself is proprietary to Silencer Co. Initially, they were using the M&P for the frame and modifying the slide, and only the rear portion of the slide cycles when the weapon is fired. So really cool firearm. And this holster is molded after the Black Hawk holster manufactured specifically for that handgun. Now let's see if we can yes. Here's the fixed blade combat knife. Up close, you guys can see that it's got rivets molded into it. It's got a molded pommel on it for hammering at the base of the handle. Serrated edges on top of the blade, as well as blood grooves. That's really cool. And it goes back here, back of his body armor. You guys, I have to forgive me for moving the figure around so much. He's just not gonna going to stay on this display stand. That's not going to happen. And you can take his scar, and I've already switched the hand grips out. All right, here he is, all kitted out, head to toe. This is really awesome. I really like these boots. I like the fact that they've got these snap buckles. There's no lacing. Tactical pants with integrated knee pads like Cry Precision pants. Really cool. All the way around. This is a really awesome action figure. These are the nicest military figures you're going to find. Bobby's thought of everything, including a gunner's belt here, and it's got the safety loop on the back. And what this is for, when you're doing airborne operations, you have what's called a monkey tail, which is a safety retention lanyard, and on either end it's got a snap link. And you snap one into this belt and you snap the other into the deck plate of the helicopter, and that gives you an added measure of safety. You're not going to fall out anyway, because when you're riding on the pods of a little bird, or you're hanging out the door of a Black Hawk or whatever, the centripetal force for the blades is going to keep you in place, so you're not going anywhere. Now for comparison, I want to bring out Duke from the G.I. Joe Classified series, if we can get him to stand up straight. If there was ever an action figure that needed a display base, it's the Classified figures. And you can see they look really cool together, but right off of the bat, the differences are like night and day. Not just in the articulation, but the attention to detail. You know, Condor looks more like a real soldier. Duke doesn't even have a plate carrier. He's got a bandolier. He does have an FN Scar Mark 16 like Condor, but the reason for that is that was included with the Action Force prototype weapons pack. That Desert Eagle that he's carrying was also included with the prototype weapons pack. Now let's talk about height for a second. How tall are these guys? I'm going to remove Condor's helmet for just a moment so you can get a good look at both of them up close and see the differences. Bring out a tape measure here. And Condor looks to be right at 6 3/8 of an inch, almost 6.5 inches tall. And Duke is 6 1/4 inches tall. So Condor is slightly taller. You're also going to notice the head sculpt. If you look at them side by side, Condor's head sculpt is slightly larger. Duke is slightly smaller. But I still think they look cool together, you know. And that's one of my gripes about the Classified series. I would really have liked to have seen them made as a more realistic action figure with the things that you see Action Force with. And I would have liked to have seen them with a display stand. Now, speaking of display stands, if you look at the port in Duke's foot, it's larger than the one at Condor. Which means that he can use the Action Force display base, but I wouldn't do that just because I don't want to use it for them. That's Action Force. But still, you know, and there's a lot of similarities and differences. You know, let's remove his rifle for a minute so I can show you guys this. One of the biggest differences I want to point out is the butterfly joint on the G.I. Joe Classified series figures. I've had some guys in the past that were reviewing Action Force before they ever got the figures, and they talked about the Classified series not having these, and in fact they do. But you see that the range of motion is very limited on these. They do have double jointed elbows, bicep rotation, forward and lateral movement there, wrist rotation, but they don't have a ball joint on the torso. It's hinged. They do have waist rotation. There's no ball joint there. So this is a big difference between these and the Action Force figures. There's a lot of potential there with these figures and a lot of missed opportunities. Action Force clearly is a superior action figure in every sense of the word. So guys, there you have Condor from Action Force. If you don't have this guy, you need to order him. Pick him up today. Get in on the comics. Get involved in the story. Become part of the action.